Hey, welcome back to the House of Trauma podcast. It's your favorite podcast host, Kiana Bree, and let's get into it. Okay, so today. I had to come to a realization. Okay, this is so funny to me. I've come to a realization that perfect is not real. It does not exist. And you may think, well, duh, nothing is perfect. The only perfect being to ever walk this earth was our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. But I've lived 99.9% of my life under the illusion of perfectionism. And have y'all ever heard the saying, my black people, the quote, you have to be twice as good to have half of what they have. You have to be twice as good to have half of what they have. Now, the first time I heard that quote was on Scandal, maybe like season 5, right? We all used to watch Scandal. I think this was when I was in college. But I seen that quote sprinkled about Beyonce's internet on more than one, more than two, more than 3 occasions. And even prior to me hearing that at 19 when I was in college, the way I was raised by my parents had the same sentiment. You could not be seen in this world with even so much as a blemish, or essentially you were unworthy, you were less than. That's what I came to believe. Have you ever found yourself constantly feeling the need to accomplish more, even when you've already accomplished so much? So I had a conversation with my little sister just yesterday, and I'm freaking out about a lot of things. Mind you, I'm typically pretty level-headed, so when I'm freaking out, it's bad. And she said, well, you've already accomplished so much this year, like more than you've ever done before. And my response, you think so? And she laughed and was like, yeah, you don't think so? And begins to name a few things. And it made me realize that a lot of times we're so focused, so hell-bent on achieving that next thing, we forget the things we've already accomplished. I quite literally graduated from flight attendant training / school, because it was school, less than a week ago. And even that accomplishment, that blessing was very short-lived, because I'm wondering, what can I do next, and have I done enough? And so this isn't the first time, and I guarantee it won't be the last, that I feel this way. But I did a week or so ago. I wrote in my journal. I'm holding my journal here. A prayer to God, letting him know I can never fully thank him for all the blessings he's bestowed upon me in my life. And I listed the top 10 things from this year alone that were major blessings in my life, major accomplishments in my life. The things I've done, the people in my family could have not even dreamed of. Top 10. And when you do a top 10, there's more. And I am truly, honestly thankful I have so much gratitude for these 10 blessings and the many more. So I sit here and I ask myself, why are they not enough? Why do I feel like even with 10 major blessings, I just can't accept? I want more things. I want more accomplishments. I need more blessings. Reminds me of, what's that Prince song? Maybe I'm just like my mother. She's never satisfied. Not quite literally my mother, but am I ever truly satisfied? 555. Am I ever truly satisfied? And the answer is no, not really. Not really. When you're in a constant battle with perfectionism, you will never be satisfied. And that's a fact. So my previous podcast episode 2, fear of vulnerability. Go listen if you have not. I think it was good. It was great. I was vulnerable. I'm proud of myself for that. Anyways, fear of vulnerability. I said I never wanted people to look past my perfect mask. And that is still true today. The way I took the advice from my father, the way his life lessons were instilled into me versus my siblings, that's something totally different. They can probably tell you a different story, but the things he instilled into me made me wear this perfect mask. And I always say, ain't no shame in my game. If it happened, it happened. It is what it is. Players fuck up too. All of that. But I will try my damn hardest to not only look the part, but be the part. I remember when I was, trying to think, maybe like 6th grade. I'm going to say 6th grade, not 5th grade. And we were, it might even been 7th grade because I know my dad already lived in Texas at this time because he was visiting my grandma's house. And me and my sister and one of my brothers were there. And I forgot the incident that happened. And me and my siblings were trying to explain, like, oh, no, Dad, it was this, it wasn't that. And he looked me dead in my face. I don't know if he was looking at the others. I can only speak from my perspective. He looked me dead in my face and said, it doesn't matter what it was. It mattered what it looks like. And I'm like, nah, I think the truth is the truth is what I think. But I never forgot that day. And it was embedded into my subconscious that it doesn't matter what it is. It matters what it looks like. It matters what it looks like. Now I know now at 28 that the truth is the truth. But this impressionable little girl decided it always had to look a certain way, even if it wasn't a certain way. It always had to appear to be perfect, even if it was so far from the truth. And I've had conversations with my best friends and, with my siblings. And they're always like, oh, we will never know what you were going through because, you just made it look so well. Blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse to go through hell and make it look well. Because even when I'm truly dying inside, truly hurting, that mask, that perfect mask, is so much a part of my reality and who I am. And I've lived my life this way for so long, I don't know how to show when I'm truly in pain. And it's very seldom that I share when I am truly hurting and in pain, even with the people I love the most. Hence the fear of vulnerability. Because as soon as I show that vulnerable side, then I feel like that mask has cracked a little and potentially even shattered. And for me, I'd be damned. And I'm coming to realize it's just not a healthy way to live. And I don't want to be this way for the rest of my life. But it's been 28 years. How do you undo 28 years of perfectionism? So, with perfectionism comes being an overachiever. One of my brothers used to call me the golden child. The golden child, me. Yeah, that was me. I ain't gonna lie to you. But I felt like I had to get good grades. And not just get good grades. Oh, no. It wasn't just getting good grades and like not getting in trouble at school, like not getting suspended. I had to have perfect attendance too. I remember being in high school in Texas, and it's Texas. It snows every once in a while, but it's not a snow state. So I remember one day it was really cold, on the brink of snow, but it wasn't snowing just yet. And nobody wanted to go to school. And my stepmom was just like, well, you know, if y'all don't want to go to school, y'all can actually stay home today. It's cold. If y'all do want to go to school, then, you know, we can go to school. So my other three siblings is like, shit, we staying in the house, okay? And this is me. Yeah, well, I'm already dressed and the bus will be here in 10 minutes, so see ya. I'm not kidding. They like, girl, what? They giving us a free pass to not go to school. Why would you want to go to school? And I was like, well, if I don't have perfect attendance, I can't exempt my exams. And I'm laughing at it now because I can imagine what was going through my siblings' head, even my parents' head. Girl, you can't exempt your exams. Yeah. Not only do I got to have perfect attendance, I have to have an A or a B in these classes in order to exempt the exams. Y'all take all 8 exams. But me, I ain't doing it. And then right when I was getting ready to walk out the door to go to school, they were watching the news, and the news said that the schools were closed. And I'm like, oh, okay. Whew. Oh, thank God. I don't have to go to school, but it doesn't mess up my perfect attendance. That's right. And when senior year, when I went to school in Milwaukee, my best friend, my BFF, my meatball, she gave me the nickname Square Bear. They call me Square Bear senior year because, again, mess up my perfect attendance. Y'all crazy. I think it was like senior skip day, ditch day, whatever. And it wasn't even the actual ditch day. It was just a day. Or everybody just didn't want to go to school. They was going to go to the lake. And I was like, as fun as standing on rocks by the lake sounds, I'm going to go ahead and go to school so I can exempt these exams. And she's like, you are such a square bear. Like, girl, what? And I did just that. I went to school so I can exempt these exams. Because they meant something to me. And nobody was like, oh, yeah, Kiana's so great. She had perfect attendance. She had all A's and B's. She was able to exempt her exams. Nobody was really looking at the metrics in that way but me. Is what it looked like to me. And what it looked like on paper. I remember finishing my high school career with like a 3.3, maybe even a 3.2, and getting ropes on being in the top 10% of the class, the graduating class. And I was like, top 10%? But the top 5% got different color ropes, and I want that color rope. I want to be in the top 5%. Do y'all see where this is going? You were in the top 10%. 90% of the class didn't even achieve what it is that you achieved, and you wanted to be in the top 5%. Because to me, if you're not first, you're last. I really wanted that valedictorian spot because when I finished off junior year, I had a 4.0. So how that motherfucking 4.0 turned into a 3.3, I'm still baffled to this day. 10 years later, baffled. Anyways, I said all that to speak to the extent I'm willing to go to keep my perfect mask going, to keep that good track record, to be at the top always. I know, excuse me. I know that I need to release this need to be perfect. And I try every month under the full moon to release the need to be perfect. Yet here I am still wanting that. Give you an example. As I was going through flight attendant training, this past month, every time I took an exam, I never got less than 94% or 92. It wasn't good enough. I wanted 100% on every exam. And every time I submitted that exam and it was a 98 or a 96 or a 94, I was genuinely upset. I'm just like, this is some type of conspiracy at this point. Like, universe, this is your way of humbling me. It ain't working. No, just kidding. But no, seriously, every time I didn't get 100%, my blood quite literally boiled. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm so serious, it's not even funny. And one of my pod members was just like, oh, well, at least you passed. Honey, at least you passed. I'm not okay with mediocrity. And if you are okay with that, if anybody's okay with that, then you live your life in that way. But I live my life trying to be twice as good so I can have half of what they have. And I did end up getting that 100. But the fact of the matter is, every time I didn't, it was just like, it meant something to me that nobody else could understand. It was a shot to my chest that nobody else could feel. And I don't care if it seems petty. I don't care if it seems like I'm doing the most. This is how I live my life. I ain't 100% each and every time. Because again, if you're not first, you last. And I got a problem being last. And I know I'm not alone in this world. I just don't know a lot of people to take it to the extent that I take it to on this road to being a quote unquote overachiever. So I do want to give another very real life example. But let's just back it up. Let's just run it back real quick. Because I've spoken about perfectionism and how it also relates to being an overachiever. But what is an overachiever? I mean, when you say the word, I'm sure we all got a general consensus, but let's really get into it. People who do great things but need to accomplish more, right? They're never satisfied. They always need or want to accomplish more and are motivated by the fear of failure. No matter what it takes, they'll get it done, even at the expense of relationships, time, self, and other things. The fear of failure is essentially, I guess exactly what it is. You fear failing. And if you look at all of my bios on social media, just go look for yourself. House of Brienne on everything. What does it say in my bio? My only bad habit is my addiction to win. And I tell people all the time, I may lose the battle, but I'll never lose the war. I got plan A through Z already stacked and laid out as soon as I decided this was a goal I wanted to accomplish. Because guess what? I can't fail. I won't fail. I refuse to let it go. I refuse to not do it. Once I set my mind on something, consider it already done. timeline aside, consider it already accomplished, because I will not sleep, eat, or rest until I've accomplished what I said that I'm going to accomplish. I consider myself to be very much unbreakable. And while that's a good quality to have, to be not easily broken, it's also a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I almost said troubling. I'm unbreakable to a fault, right? It's a blessing and a curse, because again, people who are motivated by the fear of failure, they'll get it done by any means necessary. By any means. And no, that doesn't mean reaching into the dark side and becoming a scammer or trying to step on the little people so I can get to the top. But I will literally work myself to death if it means that the last thing I did was accomplish a goal I said I was going to accomplish. And that's part of the reason why I'm never satisfied with any accomplishment, with every accomplishment. That's part of the reason why I have such a hard time living in the moment. If you haven't listened to the episode In the Moment, I encourage you to. Sometimes I had to play it back for myself in times like this. It's truly a timeless message. All I can do is take it one step at a time to try to break away from this persona, so to speak, that I've created and lived in for so long. Now, here are signs that you yourself are an overachiever, even if you haven't acknowledged it yet. Perfectionism or perfectionist is number one on the list, but of course. 2, you're self-critical. 3, you have a difficulty asking for help. I know that might have caught a few of your attention. 4, motivated by fear of failure, as we just spoke about. 5, you're super or overly competitive. 6, too focused on the future and not the present. I can say I have a little bit of each or a lot of bit of most. And honestly, it is what it is. And not it is what it is. And I'm just not wanting to change. I do want to be relieved of this burden of being an overachiever. Though my brother called me the golden child as a joke, he had no idea how right he was and the lengths I was willing to go to keep that title. I remember fighting so hard in college. And I told one of my friends, I want to be the first one of my parents' children, my mom and my dad, to graduate college. And he was like, why? I was like, because nobody else has. And I feel like I owe them that. I owe them, out of all the siblings that I have, 6 sisters and 4 brothers, somebody got to graduate college, right? Not necessarily. But in my mind, somebody had to do it. And if nobody else was going to do it, I was going to do it. Simple. It's simple. Simple mathematics. What don't y'all get? No, I'm just kidding. But no, seriously. It seems simple to me. But my friend is like, well, I don't know that you have to be the one to do that if that's not what you want to do. And I convinced myself for years that it is what I wanted to do. I went to school for psychology freshman year. The next year, criminal justice. The next year, secondary education. The next year, early childhood education. And I'm sitting here right now without a college degree. And I've accomplished more in the past 2 years than I could have ever accomplished in college. Or maybe not. But it didn't work out because that wasn't the path I was supposed to take. I just was fighting so hard so my parents could be like, Kiana graduated from college with her bachelor's degree. But y'all know what? I wasn't going to stop there. The plan was not to stop at the bachelor's degree. Oh, no. It was the master's, then the PhD, and I was potentially going to spend the rest of my life in school getting degree after degree after degree just to prove a point that I could and that I would. However, God had other plans in store for me. But back then, you couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't tell me I wasn't about to have my PhD. Dr. Kiana Virgil. Got a ring to it, don't it? That was the life I had foreseen for myself. And I had to keep going back to school because I had not yet finished what I started. And after I graduated school for aesthetics last year and got my aesthetics license, I wanted to take it a step further. I actually applied to go back to school for nursing. Yeah. Because I wanted to add on to my scope of practice for aesthetics. So yet again, here I am about to go back to school because I have still not yet gotten that degree. And maybe a part of me was like, you can win for winning. You already got your aesthetics degree and license. And now you can go back to school, get your nursing license. And then when you're done with that, you can go to school for dermatology and still be a doctor. Bam. That's what I had convinced myself last year. It was already in the works. But when school came back around this fall, I really had to be realistic and take a step back and decide if that was the right thing for me to do right now. And mind you, I have not completely ruled out still being a doctor, a dermatologist. Skincare is just my thing. I'm going to be doing facials for the stars. You remember I said this. But yeah, I still, again, timeline aside, I'm going to accomplish whatever I said that I was. And there is absolutely nothing in this world that can stop me. I'm constantly thinking how I can be better than I was yesterday. And that's not a bad thing. We should all be wanting to be better than who we were, than what we were yesterday. But it gets dangerous when it consumes you. And you have to ask yourself, are you doing this for you or other people? And I can keep telling myself I'm doing this for me. But as history will show, I went to college for my parents. Right? So again, I have to ask myself, am I doing this for me or for other people? Because my track record would show I've accomplished enough this year alone. I just need to sit and enjoy the fruits of my labor. But the perfectionism and the overachiever in me, it's like, okay, we got about 5 days to November, which means we got about 61, 62 days left until the end of the year. And I can do this, and this to accomplish by the end of the year. And then that means that I can do this, and this at the height of next year to ensure that I accomplish all these things before this point in time next year. That's how my mind works. And I'm trying to just slow it down, just bring it down, just wind it down. Just exhale. Be still and know that I'm God. I just need to, at this moment in time, I feel like God wants me to just sit down. Just relax. And know that the seeds I've planted, He will allow to grow and flourish. But I'm trying to consistently water them in hopes that they'll grow faster. So, I want to give one more real life example on how no matter what I accomplished, it wasn't enough for me, even though other people saw miracles happen right before their eyes. So again, I'm a retail girl. In 2014, I started working at Forever 21. And it was just a part-time job. I got it leading into the holiday season because I just needed extra money. Because get that money, honey. And I quickly became really good at what I did at Forever 21, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the discounts, even though at that point in time it was only 10%. It was only taking the tax away, but I'll take it. My wardrobe began to grow, exactly as it always should. Y'all know I love clothes. And then maybe like a year later, my store manager asked if I wanted to be head cashier, as people who had been working there for a while were starting to leave. So she quickly took me off the sales floor, and I was the head cashier. I was great on the motherfucking register. I did what needed to be done. I got them add-ons. I got them emails. I enjoyed it. I was quick. Kept them lines down. In 2016, maybe, I might have the timeline a little messed up. It was either 15 or 16. I actually left for a few months to go work at Walgreens because I was given the job as a shift lead. And every time I would go back into Forever 21, my old boss would be like, if you come back, I'll pay you more. If you come back, I'll pay you more. If you come back, I'll pay you more. So she was going to pay me, $2.50 more than what I was making before. And again, I came back and I worked every other weekend, and I worked on Wednesday nights because I always opened on Wednesdays at Walgreens. And I was starting to get exhausted from working 2 jobs. And if you can believe it, I was back in school. Anyways, I was starting to get exhausted from working 2 jobs. And also, at this point, I was either 20. I had got my 21 because I had just got my first apartment. And I was partying a lot. Like, damn, I had to make executive decisions, and I still wanted to party. So one of these jobs had to go. So anyways, she ended up offering me lead of service position at Forever 21, which would pay me $2.25 more than what I was making at Walgreens to be their full-time shift lead. It was a motherfucking no-brainer. This is the job I really wanted in the first place. Y'all should have been paying me this. So I ended up leaving Walgreens and going to work at Forever 21 full-time. And I struggled a little bit in the beginning with being a manager, but then, like all things, it came naturally to me after a while. And I don't remember how long I was shift lead, but then I was promoted to assistant manager, which was the next step up. And I was assistant manager for a while because the 2 other higher positions were filled by managers who didn't seem like they were going anywhere, though they did keep listening. After being assistant manager for a little while, I was promoted to co-manager, but at a different location. And I remember, side note, when I was promoted to co-manager, it was only a month after my dad had died. And so I didn't really celebrate in that moment because I was dealing with that. But very much something to be proud of. And I was given $3 more than what I was making at that moment. And I was co-manager for not even a year at the other location, which was a shit show, by the way. I had to swoop in and save the day, but we'll talk about that another day. Then I became store manager, and I got $3 more, whatever. I got more money. It's the point I'm trying to make. The money was coming in quickly and rapidly, and I was enjoying it. Not just enjoying the raises that was coming in every 6 months is what it felt like, but I also enjoyed the status change from sales associate to store manager in just a few years. And once I reached store manager, it was great. I enjoyed it. But that hype was very short-lived for me, because now I was looking into how I could be area manager or district manager, or fuck it, put me in HR up at the corporate office in LA. Yeah. That was the dreams I had. That was going on in my mind. So I said all that to say that even though I had accomplished something great that nobody, and I mean nobody, could have or would have seen coming. I mean, there were people who were working there longer than me that I was now their boss. I was one of the, if not the youngest store manager in the company. 24 or 25. 25 at the time. And I was running a $4 million store. And again, nobody could have even seen it coming. Even my district manager, who we ended up becoming cool, later on, but he was a hater. My old store manager fought for me to have all these positions. He ain't want it. District manager, he wasn't trying to see it. I wasn't in the company long enough. I wasn't in the store long enough. I didn't have enough experience. It was this, it was that. I don't need the experience when I'm naturally gifted. I'll leave that alone. But all in all, no matter how many raises, how many promotions I got, it wasn't enough because I didn't own the company. Okay? And that sounds crazy, but no, seriously. It wasn't enough because I didn't own the company. For real, that's how I felt. And I came to realize once I walked away from it all, I walked away from, what was I making? With my guaranteed overtime and all the extra trips I was doing, and it was paying me for mileage, about $60,000 a year, which is good for Wisconsin. Dallas, it's a whole nother ball game. But I walked away from that in the middle of a global pandemic for the sole fact of starting my own business, because now I can be the boss. And there is no one above me, and there will be no one above me as it pertains to Lolly Lips by Kiana. And once I walked away from that job and I started my own businesses, and I started my spiritual journey, and I got to thinking that my need to be perfect, my need to be an overachiever, my need to be the best at everything, you guessed it, stemmed from trauma. Stems from the feelings of insecurity and inadequacy. Insecurity and inadequacy. And not wanting to feel insecure or inadequate in any way. Knowing that I had to be twice as good to have half of what they have made me inadequate from the beginning. Put me at a disadvantage from the beginning. So my whole goal in life was to always be number one. Because no matter what you think or how you feel, if the statistics say I'm first, then the rest of y'all are beneath me. And even with me accomplishing so much and working so hard, pushing, forcing my way through these achievements, I still suffer from self-doubt and anxiety to a certain extent. And that is what triggers the need to consistently achieve more and more and more and more. When I had that talk with my sister, and she's like, "You've accomplished so much this year alone." She believes it. I didn't necessarily believe it. Because even with all the awards, all the accomplishments, all the accolades, even with all the grace of God, internally, a part of me still feels inadequate. And that within itself is a hard pill to swallow. Again, I'm actively working to change the narrative, and maybe that's the problem. I'm always caring what it looks like instead of what it is. Because if I can sit here and be 110% honest with myself, I've accomplished more in the last 2 years to truly last a lifetime. Some people would have never dreamed of these accomplishments in their wildest dreams. Twice my age and haven't accomplished half as much. But I'm constantly needing and wanting to do more. And I think it's time for me to just sit with God and enjoy the fruits of my labor, as I never do. I accomplish something and then it's on to the next. What can I accomplish now? But we know that the greatest rule to manifesting, the greatest rule in the universe, is gratitude. It's time to sit in gratitude and be truly and honestly grateful for everything God has given me in this world. And not just the top 10 that I wrote down, but every single thing. So to all my overachievers out there, I want to leave you with this. The 3 things I think will aid us, assist us, and come into grips that perfectionism is not real. The 3 things we can do to conquer the idealism of being perfect and take back our lives so that we are able to be more vulnerable and live more in the moment. Top 3 things. Y'all know 3 is my favorite number. Number 1, take a step back. Take a step back from everything, whatever that means for you. Do a social media cleanse. Sit with God. Meditate. Pray. Isolate. Hibernate. Just take a step back and really look at what it is that you've accomplished. And don't allow your achievements to define your self-worth, because you are more than your awards and your accolades. You as a living, breathing human being here on this earth matters more than anything you could ever accomplish in the physical world. Number 2, practice self-care. What I've learned on this spiritual journey is that self-care plays a pivotal role in how we see ourselves in this world. And shaking the mic a little bit. Self-care plays a pivotal role in how we see ourselves in this world. And the reason that is important is because once you see yourself differently in the world, you show up differently in the world, and you don't allow, again, your achievements, your accomplishments, your rewards to be what brings you value. Step 3, connect with others. You'll find the more you connect with others, the less alone you feel, the more you feel you're not alone. You find like-minded people, and you find people who will quite literally show you that you are more than your achievements. So again, step 1, just take a step back. Step 2, practice self-care. Step 3, connect with others. It's truly hard out here for a pimp, especially a pimp who wants to be number one in everything. But we are learning, growing, and changing the world one day at a time. This is Kiana Brienne, and this is the House of Trauma podcast. I'll see you next week.